everyone, welcome to a new episode of In Other Words with Danielle and Zara.
This is a podcast where we talk about a wide variety of different subjects, from personality to, I keep wanting to say conspiracies, but that's not what I want to say.
No, because we did an episode on that, and you should go listen to that.
And
but we talk about stereotypes. We talk about all the things.
We talk about
all the things.
There we are. A messy beginning, but that's because
this episode is going to get messy.
Super messy. But before we start, the local brand that I want to advertise today is Studio Candor. And this is studio.candor, Candor, on Instagram.
Candor.
They are,
isn't that like honesty?
Yes.
Oh.
And that's because they are open about the quality of their clothing, where the material comes from, and they make all their clothing from dead stock fabric. So it's
that.
Yeah, and they have really nice things. And yeah, they're online, but they also have a store in Observatory. So definitely check them out.
Cool. Okay, so I'm very, very excited today. We are currently on holiday, so we are in a different location. If you are watching on YouTube, you can see that. We've been told that the shade is on our face a little bit by our producer, but this is going to be a little bit of a shady episode.
Exactly.
So we would like to start by saying that if you are young, just be cautious.
Yeah,
because
or if you have children listening with you, some of the stories that got sent in are not super PG.
Yeah, don't worry, we're not gonna.
No, it's not very explicit, but I don't know. I think it's probably more than
it's a little bit more detailed. Yeah.
So today we are talking about
gossip. So the
and
whole
all
episode we're just gonna gossip about everything.
So whatever story you've ever told me, it's coming out right now. Kidding. So before we start, shall I read a definition, because I actually do have one.
I love the definitions.
You can tell that we have written essays before.
We have.
Okay, so gossip is casual or unconstrained conversation or reports about other people, typically involving details that are not confirmed as being true. So there we have it.
Yes.
And maybe for some background, before gossip became known as what it is today, so now we kind of see of it as, you know, something bad. It has a very negative connotation to it. It's like idle talk, you know, like it's not productive. But the origins of the English word gossip originally meant godparent, and or one who stands in a spiritual relation to the child to be baptized. Let me just read this whole thing that I have. So in time, however, the term was used with a broader meaning. In early modern England, the word gossip referred to companions in childbirth, but not necessarily limited to the midwife.
Yes.
So basically, it means it was used for these people who had a very, very strong friendship, people who would share information with each other.
Yes.
And like often in relation to women. And however, once women, like, there were more oppressive laws, especially in Europe, you know, keeping women down.
We know.
Yeah. Then obviously people didn't want women to be going out and about sharing information, because it was actually like a form of survival even then, you know, sharing information about the people around you to help you, not necessarily to harm. That's the difference.
Yes.
And now when we think of gossip, we just simply think of being mean. We think of women being like women skinnering, you know what I mean?
Yes. It's very much I associate it, when I think gossip, I'm like, oh, Desperate Housewives. We just associate it with like these women sitting around at home, like telling stories about the other ladies in the neighborhood and how they iron wrong. Yeah, so it's not always had the same like meaning or connotation that it does today, and a lot of that is actually linked to sexism. So it's quite interesting. But shall we read our stories that we have? We can. I think the take that we're taking on gossip is what it's become, which is this negative connotation of, particularly, I think rumours have a lot to do with gossip. It's the sharing of information without actually getting the information from the source or
with malicious
intent. I think gossip is all about intent, and it's we're talking about it in the negative connotation now, and what it's become, and we are not for talking mean things behind people's backs.
No. Okay, so we asked you guys to send in some stories about your worst experiences with gossip or the worst rumors that have gone around about you, just to demonstrate our point.
And we were pretty surprised by some of the stuff we got.
Yeah, flip. Some of them were quite hectic.
Yes.
Okay. Oh no.
What happened?
I don't know. My thing is just in the way of this. Hold on.
Oh, technology.
So true, bestie. But anyway, I'll read this one that I can't see so long. So the first submission that I'm reading goes as such. Right after high school and my first year of college, I gained a lot of weight. When I gain weight, though, I end up with a big round tummy. Girls that were in high school with me started gossiping that I was pregnant, and it spread like wildfire in the small town that I lived in. I discovered it when my cousin was congratulated about the additional family member that will be joining our family. What hurt most was that this specific cousin thought it was a joke and played along. It really did damage to my witness and my reputation, and still to this day I have people thinking that I have a child somewhere. That is hectic.
That's like not even...
That's like a big deal as
That's
well.
like something you see on like a TV show.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that is very, very scary.
But also the fact that people didn't come to you and say like, oh, are you pregnant?
How do you make an assumption that someone is pregnant?
Especially when it comes to putting on weight, because like especially after high school, putting on weight is quite a normal thing.
Your body changes.
Yeah.
And also what's interesting is I've seen like, that's why they say never congratulate a woman.
Never. Unless you
know that they're pregnant, because first of all, everyone has very different body types. I've seen pregnant women who don't even look pregnant, so we really can't like judge someone based on their body. And it's very interesting to me. Why do you think people say things without having actual proof?
I think it gives like a sense of entertainment, and just like something to do, like, oh, you see this girl's picking up weight, and it's much more interesting to think, oh, she's obviously pregnant, than for the usual she has just picked up weight.
But even that, like, I've seen people talk about that in a negative connotation, like,
absolutely,
oh, she picked up weight, oh, she lost weight, and that's like really, really dangerous. And like in reading like certain studies and information on mental health, like it's very scary, because at the depth of your depression, appetite always has something to do with it. So if you are deeply depressed, you either overeat to compensate, or you don't eat at all. And so it's very, very dangerous to like comment on someone's weight, because there's probably a very good reason for why they're in the situation.
And even if it isn't a good reason, like, it's none of your business.
Really,
and I think usually for me, when it comes to things that people can't change about themselves, when it comes to appearance, I mean, like the rule of thumb in general, this is not necessarily relating to gossip, but more to when you're speaking to someone. If you want to comment on something about their appearance, think, can they change that within the next 5 seconds or 5 minutes or whatever? So for example, you can say to someone, oh, you have something
in your teeth.
You have something in your teeth, or you have some dirt on your face, but you don't say, oh, you've picked up weight, or oh, you've lost weight, or oh, you have bad acne at the moment. Like, why would you say that? And like when it comes to gossip or just talking about people, why would you comment on their appearance? It's got nothing to do with you, and it's probably the least important thing about someone.
And I will say, like, this has happened to me multiple times, is I've had people come up to me and say, listen, Zara, this person they're looking very, very skinny at the moment. Is everything okay? But it's come from like a good place.
That's the difference.
And that's the difference in most of these situations, is what is the intent behind the comments made about other people. But something that I find, there are two things when I think gossip, there are two things that come to mind, and I would like to preface this whole episode saying that I gossip, and we are not, I think we all
do, to be honest.
We are not like innocent and here to condemn everything. I think it's important that we have these conversations and that we check ourselves, ourselves a lot. Like leading up to this gossip episode, I've just been thinking carefully, like, don't gossip, don't gossip, don't gossip. And even like I remember in high school, a friend of mine, without even realizing it, we would often talk about people, not like blatantly like they're terrible, but say things with like just poor intentions, or not saying something nice. And this friend's brother came up to us once and he's like, why do you talk about people so much? And it hit hard, and I actually realized, like, I didn't even realize how much I talk about other people, especially poorly. And you know what is the most scary thing for me is I wonder how many people or how many groups of people would be friends if they stopped talking about other people. Like, would they have something to talk about?
A lot of friendships are based on like talking about other people and gossiping.
which is a very, very
so if you find you're
thing.
only doing that with your friends, I don't know, you'll need to think about that.
I definitely agree.
Okay, so the next response that I will read, do you want to read the next one? I'm thinking maybe like the most bottom one. There.
Okay, so this is interesting.
This one made me angry. Flip.
Yes, okay, so I forgot to wear my purity ring one day. What is a purity ring? Should we maybe stop there for people who don't know?
Yeah, so I've never worn a purity ring, but the way I understand it is some girls and even some guys, but I think it's mostly girls who do it.
Oh, listen, the Jonas Brothers, remember their purity ring?
I mean,
period.
I question, but anyway.
No, for sure.
So purity rings is a ring that you wear often on like your ring finger, but it can also be on any finger, and it's basically to symbolize that you want to honor God and wait for marriage to have sex, and it's pretty much just a sign of that.
Yes. Interestingly enough, though, if I saw someone with like a plain silver band on their ring finger, I think they were married.
Yeah.
Anyways,
same.
If you have a purity ring, tell us which finger you wear it on. Actually, I'm very interested to know.
I know. I think my roommate in first year, I think she wore hers on her like ring finger.
Okay. Maybe that was just the way to keep the guys away.
Yeah.
Like, leave me alone.
Sorry.
I don't have time. I'm trying to get a degree.
So true, bestie.
That's Danielle's new saying.
Yeah, I cannot stop.
So I forgot to wear my purity ring one day. I was in a rush that morning, was running late, and it simply just slipped my mind. At the time, I was getting to know a guy and I really liked him. His friend somehow spotted the missing ring on my finger and spread rumors that the reason I wasn't wearing it was because I want my crush to think I'm not a virgin because it's embarrassing and that I'm open to having sex.
All that for forgetting to wear your ring. That is bizarre.
Scary. So first of all, my first issue here is that this person is a friend of the person you liked, and the person you like clearly needs better friends. You got be careful who you let into your inner circle.
Yeah.
Like, I have great friends, but there's certain people you just don't tell things to, you know?
There's many people I don't tell things to.
Yeah, because you don't have any friends.
That's exactly. Tactical.
So that's my first issue with this. The second one was that you did it because you wanted your crush to think you're not a virgin because it's embarrassing. And that for me is really, really scary.
But it also doesn't make sense because I'm sure your crush has seen you with the ring before.
Yes.
And like you wear it every day, so why would you think that it's embarrassing except for like the one time?
Yeah, if I were the crush, okay, and I was like for some reason not keen to be with someone. Yes, this is a guy. Okay, so it is a girl speaking, I think. If I were the crush and this girl that I liked was wearing a purity ring, then I surely know that she is a virgin or she doesn't want to have sex. So I probably would pursue her if that was something I was interested in. If not, then I'm out. And then secondly, like if I again was this guy who had a crush on a girl who wore a purity ring one day and then didn't the next day, I'm like, who the heck did this girl I like sleep with?
Yeah, well, in one day.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me at all.
But also that they would be so concerned with your like virginal status.
I think what's so scary to me in this society, and I think people know where we stand, like we are both waiting for marriage to have sex. But like, I think what the hardest thing is, and I don't want to make this a gender thing, but the reality is it is unfortunately a gender thing, and women are just more shamed, and
it's true.
There's really a spotlight on women's virginity or like sex life, and that again for me is weird, like talking about someone else's sex life. Like, why?
I know, it's very
like,
weird.
Imagine like it's a very intimate space. So imagine someone else talking about you in that way. Yeah, that's terrible. But it's crazy because here he's saying like, she said that because it's embarrassing and that I'm open to having sex. It's like women are shamed for having sex because then it's all of a sudden they're a slut. Yeah. And women are also shamed for not having sex because it makes them a prude. Like,
There's no winning.
How do you win?
There is no winning.
So yeah, that is very disturbing to me, first of all. Second of all, I don't know, dude. I don't know. That would make me really angry. It makes me really angry.
And yeah, it is honestly really sexist as well.
Yeah.
I would be concerned.
Agreed.
Okay. The next one. This one was kind of sad. Okay.
Yeah, this is really sad and quite long. So
yeah, no, they don't want us to read the whole thing.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay,
So
great.
it's a little bit short.
All right.
Okay. So this person shared that the worst rumor or experience was that they are a disrespectful child that doesn't obey their father, that they are a rude and a terrible person, and that their mom manipulated them into hating their dad, and that was a rumor that their dad started. And it spread as hot gossip to everyone from acquaintances to friends and even their family. And this happened a few years ago, but it still affects their life today. It changed the way that people treat them and their mom, and the reality is that it was a twisted lie. The rumors he spread hurt and cut deeper than anything else he had ever done to hurt me. Yes. Dang.
And also, just a side note to this person who didn't want us to read the rest of it. Like, if you want to reach out to us personally, like, please do. We're not going to gossip or share it with anyone. This is scary. Family relations are a big, big, big mess. And I think that something that stands out to me here and stands out to me in any situation about gossip or a story about someone is that there are always two sides to a story.
Always.
Sometimes there are three sides to a story. So yeah, that's just something to keep in mind. And also the difficulty with gossip, I feel, and I've seen this of myself, like, guys, I mentor girls, and the minute I hear someone speak poorly of them or do something to them, like, I'm not like a generally maternal person, but that like mom in me comes out and I'm like, listen here. Listen
I
here.
will kill you.
Yes. So I think like the difficulty with gossip, and in this situation, because now you're saying that people view your mom and you differently, is that as a mature adult, surely you should know there are multiple sides to a story. And secondly, like, how silly is it to take on other people's offenses? Because that's what gossip is.
It is.
You really, I've always said, like, when I speak about personal issues or someone close to me, I want to be able to speak to someone and vent, not gossip, vent, but know that this person isn't going to hold it against the other person.
Yeah.
Because that's the most dangerous thing. It's like we walk into situations and we're like, okay, who do we hate? Okay, we're not talking to that person because it did something to that friend who did something to that friend,
that's
and now
quite toxic.
I hate them. So that's very, very difficult. So I think in this situation, bar the dad saying whatever he said, the issue also lies with the people now viewing differently. And I think as people, we really need to try and be so compassionate and so just open to hearing where people are coming from. And we can acknowledge that something is wrong, but also understand that people are the way they are for a reason. And you know what? Some people do really suck, but they are the way they are for a reason.
I think what's really hurtful about something like this is that you don't expect someone who is supposed to look after you, supposed to be close to you, to start a rumor like that.
It's the most.
And it's like, especially like as a parent, to do something like that to a child, and even to the mother of your child, is crazy. And obviously, like, divorce is messy, splitting up is messy. Nonetheless, I don't really know exactly what the story is there, but I assume it's some sort of divorce or splitting up. And it's hurtful already because you don't expect, like, as a child, you don't expect that to happen. You don't want it to happen. And then to have your father go and spread lies about you and your mother and, like, bringing you into, like, the center of everything is really, really hurtful. And also just makes you think about how many, like, if rumors have been started by you, I think a lot of the time it's by the closest people to you because they know the most about you.
And that's why you just have to be wise. You don't have to dislike people or even distrust people, but just be careful who you let in to your, like, very inner circle.
You learn over time there's some people that you just can't share things with,
and that's fine. You don't have to dislike them. You can hang out with them, you can be friends with them, but just be wary. But I also think, like, my advice to this person, I don't know if they're looking for advice, is just, you know what, like, sometimes parents are really going to mess up
and disappoint you.
Yes. And especially, like, I mean, I've talked about it so many times, and if my biological dad ever listens to this, I forgive you wholeheartedly, so I'm not trying to, like, be mean.
No bitterness.
But it's like it messed with, like, who I am, and it affected me very poorly growing up. And so in this situation, I would just recommend that you know the truth and cling to that. and don't let that affect the way you enter every other relationship, especially like daddy issues, guys. I know this episode's not about that, but like don't let that affect how you view men.
Yeah, so true.
Okay, then the next one. Okay, this is where you want a little bit detailed. Okay, so this person said, this is a rumor that was spread about them. I had anal sex in the bushes with my ex-boyfriend before moving schools. My whole school believed it, and I couldn't do anything about it because I moved so far. My new school didn't know, luckily. I am so glad that you are at a new school.
Yeah, who would spread something like that?
Listen, this is where I'm going to tell my story.
Oh yeah, I remember this actually.
Guys, this really upset me. Now, looking back, and even after that, I was like, okay, you know what? At the end of the day, when people spread lies about you, as hard as it is, because I'm the type of person where I don't need everyone to like me, but if someone believes something that's wrong about me, or like particularly dislikes me or thinks poorly of me, that doesn't sit well with me.
Yeah.
So when I was in a relationship in high school, when I was 17, I had a key to one of the classrooms in the school because I had that key for prayer meetings, okay?
Yeah.
That key was for prayer meetings.
And I literally went to those prayer meetings.
She went to those prayer meetings.
So I can confirm.
Yes. And there was a rumor went around that me and my ex-boyfriend had sex in this classroom. And guys, this was before I even had my first kiss. I had never kissed a boy, and now I'm dealing with people saying, oh, Zara and this guy had sex in this classroom. What the heck is that?
Okay. So when people just start rumors for fun about other people that is not even true, I honestly think it has more to do with them than it has to do with you.
100%.
You know, like a happy person, a person who is fulfilled in their lives, does not do that.
Yes, I read a quote in Michelle Obama's book yesterday. I'm just trying to remember. It said something along the lines of, a bully is a person who scares people because a bully is a scared person. And it's more just like people who spread things, especially lies. For me, I've never like understood the idea of like actually. Like I get caught up in gossip when it comes to talking about things that I know I've heard, but like to fathom something in my mind and then say it out loud.
But who's got the time?
Oh my gosh.
Honestly, but you have to be really bored in your life or really unfulfilled in some area in your life that you have to think of a different person and come up with a whole story about them and then spread it.
Yeah, especially something like as personal as that. Exactly. That's awful.
And even like at school, like that's an offense. Like you could get in serious trouble.
Arrested.
For doing that.
Arrested.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I like in a sense relate to this. I really do. And something that really helped me is I had to reach a point where I was like, I know the truth. The people close to me know the truth. And I think the majority of people thought it was BS. Yeah.
Did you ever confront the person?
No.
Okay.
And I think if that's helpful, then I mean, do so. But for me, it's actually something I was very irritated about, but I moved on very quickly.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, guys, I was the Jesus girl, walking around with my Bible everywhere. Not that people walk around with their Bible everywhere are innocent, let me tell you.
So true.
Danielle can tell you. But yeah, I think when it comes
to dig at me, I was like,
no.
I hardly walk around with my Bible.
It's a dig at me.
Okay.
It's a dig at me, guys. You're imperfect Christian right here. It's me. So the thing with rumors and stuff like that is the difficulty and the hurt comes when we start to defend ourselves. And I think at the end of the day, we have to kind of reach a point where it's like, you know what? This person knows the truth. It's the same with like when you deal with a narcissist. It's not worth having an argument and defending yourself when no one's going to listen. And especially if something's been widespread, there's no point defending yourself, you know? So, shame, it must suck to be a celebrity. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I was actually going to get into that. But yeah, first of all, I'm very glad that you moved schools. And then that's all I wanted to say.
Yes.
The thing about being a celebrity and the thing with the rise in celebrities is that it's actually created this really, really complicated thing with gossip, right? Because none of us ordinary people really know celebrities.
Are celebrities not ordinary, Danielle?
No. You can't really be ordinary and be known by like billions of people, I don't think. I mean, they're ordinary people, but they're also not. You know what I'm saying? People. They're ordinary, but they're not normal.
Yes. Wow. Moving on.
So we read, I mean, I don't read anymore, but I mean, my mom used to buy the You magazine, and I would sit and I would read the tabloids. I would read everything about that was being said about these celebrities, and I was like, yo, I can't believe they did that. Yes. And we'll talk, and like, oh my word, did you hear apparently this celebrity is pregnant, or apparently this celebrity is dating Pete Davidson? And it's like,
that was a very I mean, that's still something I question.
Even me.
Good for you, Pete.
Yeah, we kind of make these people, like, we pretend that they're not even humans.
Yes, it's like talking about someone on a TV show. So and you're the thick skin that you need to be a celebrity. Yeah, really so do. Even in that, like, and this is something I think I'm like most guilty about, is if I gossip about anyone, it's celebrities, is like, they're real people, you know. Yeah. So be careful about that.
Indeed.
But one thing I really wanted to speak about is I think we associate gossip with teenagers and with high school.
Yeah.
Because that is just the narrative, you know, teens gossip, high school sucks, you know, everyone is trying to find themselves, and so the best way to do that is to get involved in these conversations to fit in. But let me tell you, adults are just as bad, if not worse.
So bad.
The amount of conversations that I have sat in where people who are older and should know better are literally just talking about other people. And so, I just want to like say that this narrative that only teenagers gossip and it's associated with this high school thing is very fake.
Like, I remember there was I just remembered this now. When I was in grade 6, we had these group orals. And for some reason, like, I didn't have a big role to play in my group oral thing. It was kind of like you had to put on a play, but it was, I don't know.
Okay.
Anyway, I think I had maybe like 2 lines, and I ended up getting quite a bad mark for me. I mean, I used to get full marks for my orals.
That's cool.
Because I put in the effort. Yes. I put in the hours.
How many hours did you put into your grade 6 orals?
I used to take so long to learn orals. But anyway, for this one in particular, I really didn't have much to do, and I ended up getting a bad mark. And I complained to the teacher. I said, like, I don't really understand, because like I couldn't really have done anything else. I mean, I would have loved to have more lines, but I didn't. Yes. Like, can I maybe get a remark? Like, I'll say my 2 lines for you again. But I was like, these are not the marks I get.
Yes.
So the teacher, like, she was really understanding, and she was like, yeah, like, I know it's not you. And she let me like have a redo thing. Not that I did much better. I think I maybe got like 15 out of 20 as opposed to like 12 out of 20.
I mean, that's better.
It is better, exactly. And now the mothers in this class got wind that I was getting a second chance for this oral, and they were literally gossiping about me and my mom, that like, oh, we had complained to the teacher and we had demanded a new thing, and it's really unfair for their children. And these were like grown-up adults talking about that.
Very scary.
And then it also created like this really weird tension like inside the class, and my teacher literally had to stand up and be like, first of all, I offered to like for her to redo the thing.
Yes.
Like, I was not there crying and demanding a new mark.
Yes.
Like, she offered it to me.
Yes.
And it was just incredibly weird, and I was like,
and like hurtful for someone. How old were you? You must have been
11. Yeah.
Like,
and to know that there were mothers in the class talking about that, I was like, okay.
No.
Anyway,
that's absolutely.
And also like my friends, like, they would dig at me for like
getting another.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, but like we always get those marks, and I was like, yeah, you do, I don't. So I don't know, you've never complained, so
yeah, no, that's annoying. And another place, just speaking about schools, because I have teacher friends, guys, in school staff rooms, it is exactly the same on the playground as it is in the staff room.
I can imagine.
Like, it is scary. Like, the way that teachers talk about students as if they are not human. Like, it is very, very scary. So I just want to put that out there for all of our friends. There's a lot of people you know who are being teachers. Watch out.
Yeah, watch out. And also remember, there's always there's always like, when it comes to being a teacher and like gossiping about a student, you can't take away the power dynamic as well, you know. Like, you are a person who is literally in charge this child at that point.
Yes.
Of like, you're in charge of educating them, and even at school, like there's a level of protection that you should do as well.
It's like such a, even with the like so-called naughty kids, like it's a difficult stage of life, and you don't know what happens when they go home after school. So
yeah. Honestly, if I had to become a teacher, I think it's very easy to get caught up in the gossip about the kids, and especially the naughty kids. It's like, oh my word, what did they do now? Yeah.
And then another place which I was gonna bounce to bring up, because it's basically my life, church gossip.
Yes, very big.
For me, this irritates me more than any other type of gossip, because we are the church, and it's pretty much all over the Bible that we are to not gossip.
Yeah.
And I think gossip often comes from a place of judgment, and that is very, very scary to me. And so the worst cop out, and I've been guilty of this, and I hope that if you're listening to this and this is something you've done, that the Lord just like really hits you now and you feel convicted, is in church contexts, we like to say, I'm really concerned about this person and they need prayer.
Just doing it out of love.
I'm doing it from a place of love, but I really need you to know that this person did that. I can't believe they went out and got drunk. I can't believe that they did this to their child, and I'm just really concerned. So let me tell you every detail about this person's life so that we can pray.
Oh, dang.
And guys, I've been guilty of this. I'm not even going to pretend. And that just needs to stop. Like,
yeah.
Again, it comes down to intent. And if you're going to say something and say it's from a place of love and it's not, I'm telling you, God is ready to slap you in the face.
Yeah. I think the thing with church, and I mean, I've 100% gossiped about people in the church. I never made up rumors about anyone, but you know, if people bring something to me, I'm like, oh my goodness, I can't believe that kind of vibes. Like, I don't necessarily start the gossip, but I don't move away from it either.
Yes.
And
how would you suggest you deal with a situation like that? Because I've often been told, like, especially as a teenager, like, be the one that says, I'm not going to gossip and walk away. But because of the society we live in, where often gossip thrives because we want to fit in and have something to talk about, how do you be a Christian in that situation?
I think what's first important is that you can address the situation by not being like holier than thou.
Yeah.
Like, if you just say like, oh guys, I'm out, by the way, like I don't do this, and like really have this like haughty kind of attitude, I think people will probably simply gossip about you. Because I'll be like, who does this girl think she is, or who does this guy think he is?
Yes.
I think just remind people, like, okay, what are your intentions behind sharing the story? Is it true? Like, have you spoken to this person? Would you say this to this person's face?
Yes.
Have they given you permission to share the story?
Yes.
Like, just ask those kinds of questions, and most of the time, like, the answers will be no. It's already confirmed. No, I don't have permission, or whatever. And then you just make people think about what they're saying.
Yes.
I think that's what's important. But I was also thinking, just in a church context, because it does say in the Bible that we need to hold our Christian brothers and sisters accountable, and there is like a level of judgment.
Yes.
And I think we've taken it more upon ourselves than is necessary to like
play God.
Yeah, to play God.
Yeah.
And like, you hear one story about a person and you feel like, oh, now I have to share this because I just need to hold them accountable.
Yes. The whole idea of like church discipline and accountability comes from a place of, you see someone walking in a direction that is, you don't think is God's best for them, and you lead them back, or you encourage them to come back, but it's not out of a place of you suck. It's from a place of, come on, like,
yeah, we can be better.
Yes, let me walk alongside you kind of thing. And I also think we need to be very careful about who we choose to hold accountable.
Yeah.
Because like, I've been
held accountable.
We have been like told like, oh, I just care for this person's future, and it was like a person in the church
who doesn't even
older
know
than
you.
me, who I've never had a conversation with.
Yeah.
And so that's where I have a difficulty. But I think I definitely it's very, very difficult, and this is something I've had to deal with being a person who works in the church, because let me tell you, when you work in the church, you know everything all the time, and so you really have to watch what you say. And I think that's what I'm really grateful for, is I've worked in a space, shout out to DBC, I no longer work there, and that is so depressing.
Oh no.
Is I've worked with leaders where their heart has always been for the people, and so just be careful about that. But like you were saying, like ask them what is their intent.
Yeah.
The thing that I've always found is a great question to ask, and you can ask this in a non-sarcastic way, you can ask this in a non-judgmental way, but as a Christian, like, this is such a beautiful question to ask. So ask this. So Danielle, you're telling me a story about so and so did this, so and so did that, and then I say to you, Danielle, why are you telling me this? Like, why are you telling me this? Not in a rude way, like, why are you telling me this? Or like, who do you think you are? But like, why are you telling me this? Because sometimes we say things because it's like what you just heard and you need to share it with someone, and you don't really think about the consequences of it, or you don't think about how the other person would feel having this shared. And so even just asking the person, like, why are you telling me this? Like, is it so I can help? Is it, you know, it like creates a conviction. Then it's on their part. Like, if they genuinely have a reason for telling you this, then by all means. So that's a challenge.
I think
if someone said that to me, I would crawl in a hole.
I would probably cry. I'd probably go home and cry. What was I gonna say now? I think, okay, at what point would you consider something as gossip?
Okay, so I would say gossip is when you're saying something about someone that is poorly intended or knocks the person down, without any like sense of upliftment. And one thing I will say is, because you know me, like, sometimes I really don't hold back, and I can be quite feisty at times, and my boss will tell you this. We'll have a conversation about someone or something, and the reality is I've probably had this conversation to the person's face. So if you can say something, even if it's a little bit like you know,
if it's a bit harsh,
if you can't say it to the person's face, you shouldn't be saying it behind their back. That's my conviction. So saying it behind their back when you wouldn't have the guts to say it to their face, that's when it becomes gossip to me.
I completely agree. I feel like there's also, like, I'm not condoning gossip in any way, but I feel like there's also a point as to, like, if you get information, and like, I'm not one for fake news. I don't like any false information. But if like someone tells me something and I say, oh Zara, like, you can't tell anyone but this, or I say Devin, and like, you two are literally the only people, and maybe sometimes my mom, but like
her only friends, guys.
If you like, if I say that to you, like, oh, this is what I heard about that person, like, what do you think? Do you think that's like me gossiping?
So here's the thing, like, I'm going to give Carrie Ann Joint a shout out now, because I love her to pieces. There are often times where I want to know, like, someone's thoughts. I want to know, like, why do you think this person would do that? Or do you think that this is something to be concerned about? Or, because, you know, sometimes it's like you genuinely, like, struggle with something, or you find it so, like, interesting that it's like, I want to know why. And that's our huge issue with humans, is we feel the need to know everything, and we really need to like stay in our lane. And I can say that to myself, Zara, you need to stay in your lane.
It's mind your business.
But I think it's when it comes from a place of, like, so Carrie Ann is my person who I will tell things to, because her heart will never be to judge. It doesn't matter who it is. Like, I've never ever seen or had a conversation with Carrie Ann where I've said something to her and she's taken it as judgment, or we've had a conversation about how terrible the person is. It has always been from a place of, this is how I would handle the situation, Zara, and this is, just remember how this person has been brought up, or just remember. And so if you're sharing these things, and we do generally tend to share things with the people closest to us, then let it be with a person who isn't going to take that on and make it some sort of terrible, like, well, not terrible, but like, juicy thing.
I think even like if you really want to share information about someone, but like, maybe like just omit their name sometimes, you know, if you really would like want to get someone's thoughts behind someone's actions, just like don't say who it's about. And obviously, like, if someone says to me like, oh, this person did this, but I can't tell you who, like, my curiosity will be flaming. But I can respect that Like, I don't need to know who it's about.
Yes. And sometimes, you know, people, I'm like, oh, this person did this and I'm so irritated and how dare they? And then I won't tell you who. And like, it's okay to leave it at that.
Yeah.
I just needed to vent.
Yes.
It's okay to vent.
It's okay to
the difference
vent.
between venting and gossiping.
Yes.
Yeah. And then one thing that I just want to go back to is gossiping being a form of judgment. And I think, and this I noticed in myself is, gosh, I think I must have been, this is in a relationship, is one of the girls I knew, she went out and she hooked up with this guy in a club. And I remember I was talking to my mom and I was like, I can't believe that so-and-so just kissed this guy in a club in front of everyone. Like, how can they do that? And my mom said to her, she said to me, she's like, Zara, why are you being so judgmental? And it really hit me, number one, because guess what Zara was doing 3 years later?
Yeah.
I was kissing in front of people.
Yeah.
Like, guys, I don't do that anymore. But like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's interesting. Watch what you say because you'll see yourself in a similar situation.
Exactly. And there's nothing.
And then you look like a fool.
There's nothing worse than like you taking a hard stance against something or like being judgmental about someone doing something and then you do the exact same thing. And then people find out about it. Very embarrassing.
Yes. The thing that hits, like, we so often have so much to say about the things we're struggling with.
Exactly.
For real. Like something bugs you in another person because you see it in yourself.
Exactly.
Ugh, humans.
Yeah. There was something that I saw that was quite interesting when I was doing my research about gossip and all that. And that is...
What an interesting thing to research, hey? I was reading up and I was like,
it's
wow.
very interesting.
Studies show that 60% of all conversations are about other people.
Yeah.
How bizarre.
It makes sense. When there's 7 billion people in the world, like...
Is that how many people there are?
Probably more.
You better fact check that.
Maybe 8 billion now. But
sharing fake news.
Gossip is a weapon, right?
Yeah.
But it's obviously used as like a weapon for harm. But what I was reading about is like how it can actually be used like as a weapon for like justice. And like if you think about something like the Me Too movement, where women have actually gossiped in a way about who their abusers are.
Yeah.
And like they've not taken it to any like higher authority because we know that like police and whatever, they don't take sexual abuse cases very seriously.
Yes.
But like you use gossip or like your words or stories about another person to show how like horrible they are, and like that really does gain traction. And I'm not saying that like if someone offends you, just go and like gossip about them and then they'll lose their status. No. But like there are, I think, some ways that it can be useful, if you know what I mean.
I think even like if I'm not saying, I'm just, because this is generally the case, is if like a guy does something to a girl that is non-consensual, whatever, and he tells his best guy friend, oh my word, I did this. Like, great, here's the gossip, now let me sort it out, let me put you in your place, let me like report you to the authorities kind of thing. But I think often gossip just comes from a space of like maybe immaturity and insecurity, you know, and sometimes we don't read enough books and then we need entertainment.
Yes, read books, people. Honestly, what the heck? The fact that people don't read books.
Yes.
Shocking.
And I have this thing where there are things I know, guys. There are things I know that have shocked me to my core that I've never told a single soul.
Sometimes you just can't.
No, like you can't. I think there was a situation we were talking about at the table
we will never say that.
Night, and
I'll never say that.
Even Danielle and I both know the situation, and we've never spoken about it because we're like, how much damage is that going to do, and what would be the point?
And it's all, like, the thing is, it's already been sorted out.
Yes, and remember, people make mistakes, guys. Like, people make mistakes, you know. So like, let people
be people.
Let people be people. And honestly, it's such an old saying, but like, first of all, if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. And then secondly, like, there's this whole idea of the tea, and I'll often say like, oh, what's the tea, Danielle?
I don't ever have any tea except rooibos, maybe.
You literally drink tea all day. Don't lie to yourself.
Metaphorically tea.
Is sometimes I've had to say to myself, and I actually love the saying, is you can sip the tea, just don't spill it. In real life too, drink your tea, please don't just spill it because you'll burn.
Unless.
But in life, that's how it is as well. Like, if you hear something, just because you've heard something, you do not have to share it. You know, you can know things and do nothing with them.
Yeah.
You can sip your tea and not cause first, third degree burn, however the burn degree burns are.
And like, if you really feel the need to talk about people, it's like I said, it's very, very normal that we would talk a lot about other people. Like, we talk about celebrities. If you study history, you talk about like historical people, figures. Which is maybe gossip. History is actually just gossip.
Just remember, there's a difference between gossip and facts.
Exactly. There is a difference.
Hitler was a terrorist.
Thank you, Zara. But yeah, always think about, what is the purpose of sharing your information? Do you need to talk about this other person? And who are you sharing this information to? You know?
Yes.
That's a very big part of it, I think. Yes. But yeah, intent matters a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, just be the best version of yourself that you can be, and ask yourself, is gossiping a part of that best version of yourself?
And how would you feel if someone said this about you?
Exactly.
And you know, the worst feeling is not when someone comes to you and says something to your face. If someone comes to me and says something to my face like, Zara, this was not okay, I'm probably going to be really upset, but I can move on. But if I find out that this person said it to this person,
who said it to that person, who said it to that person,
it is the suckiest feeling.
It's very, very hurtful.
So guys, listen, I do it too. I really do.
Even me.
I really do. If you listen to our Christianity episode, not the Christianity, the how dangerous Christianity thing with Keith. I kept on using gossip as an example, and both of you were like, Zara, do you have a problem?
Yeah,
I'm like, maybe I do. But yes, just be so nice. Sip, don't spill.
Exactly.
Cheers, Danielle. Oh, you already finished your...
Are we surprised? Ugh. No. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to this episode.
Yes.
And let us know your thoughts if you want to.
Yes, talk about this podcast and the things you agree and the things you disagree.
Exactly.
But don't tell everyone that Danielle and Zara are terrible people.
Please don't do that.
We try not to be terrible. We really do.
Anyway.
Okay, guys, we will catch you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.